At 3 a.m., the smoke alarm screamed, but Rebecca Morrison didn't wake up from the sound. She woke up from the heat of her bedroom burning around her. 8 months pregnant, every door locked from the outside. Her millionaire husband's car, already gone. Their bank account, emptied exactly 10 minutes before the first flame ignited. She barely escaped through shattered glass, watched everything turn to ash. But that was just the beginning of the nightmare. Because 3 weeks later, homeless and desperate, Rebecca went into labor in a parking lot under a flickering streetlight. No hospital, no doctor, just an ambulance that arrived too late. And that's when his mistress showed up. Phone in hand, camera rolling, live streaming Rebecca's most vulnerable moment to 20,000 strangers. For content, for clicks, for views. This is the true story of attempted murder, a birth caught on camera, and a woman who turned her worst nightmare into the most powerful comeback you've ever heard. Stay until the end, because what happens next will restore your faith in justice. The smoke alarm screamed at 3 in the morning. But it wasn't the sound that woke Rebecca Morrison. It was the heat, the unbearable, suffocating heat of her bedroom burning around her. 8 months pregnant, trapped, every door locked from the outside. Her millionaire husband's car, already gone. Their bank account, emptied 10 minutes before the first flame ignited. She barely escaped through a broken window, watched everything she owned turn to ash. But that was just the beginning of the nightmare. Because 3 weeks later, homeless and desperate, Rebecca went into labor in the back of a car. No hospital, no doctor, just a parking lot under a flickering streetlight. And that's when his mistress showed up. Phone in hand, camera rolling, live streaming Rebecca's most vulnerable moment to thousands of strangers online. For content, for clicks, for views. This is the true story of a woman who survived attempted murder, gave birth in a car while being filmed by her husband's mistress, and turned her worst nightmare into something powerful. This is the story of the Phoenix Rising. Stay until the end, because what happens next will restore your faith in justice. The smoke alarm shriek cut through Rebecca's dream, but the heat woke her completely. Rebecca Morrison's eyes snapped open. The bedroom glowed orange, not sunrise, fire. She bolted upright, 8 months pregnant, her belly making every movement awkward and slow. Smoke poured under the door in thick black waves that seemed to reaching for her. Grant! Her voice came out hoarse, strangled. She coughed violently. Grant! No answer, just the crackling roar of flames consuming her home. She rolled out of bed, her nightgown already soaked with sweat. The floor burned hot under her bare feet, like walking on a stovetop. She stumbled toward the door and touched the handle. The metal seared her palm. She jerked back with a cry, cradling her burned hand against her chest. The window, she had to get to the window. Rebecca crossed the room, guided by muscle memory through the smoke that now filled every inch of breathable space. Her lungs screamed for oxygen. The baby kicked hard inside her, as if sensing the mortal danger they were in. She grabbed the heavy ceramic bedside lamp and swung it at the window with all her strength. Glass shattered outward into the December night. Cold air rushed in, momentarily clearing the smoke enough for her to see. She knocked out the remaining shards with the lamp base, her hands shaking. Looked down, 12 feet to the ground. The rose bushes she'd planted last spring, Grant had complained they were too thorny, too much work, waited below like a bed of knives. No choice. Stay and burn or jump. She climbed onto the windowsill, belly first, and pushed herself through. Time seemed to slow. She felt herself falling, the cold air rushing past. And then, impact. Thorns tore at her arms and legs as she crashed through the bushes. She landed hard on her side, gasping, the wind knocked out of her. Pain exploded through her body. The baby kicked again, hard, insistent, good, still moving, still alive. Rebecca crawled away from the house on her hands and knees, thorns still embedded in her skin. She got to the lawn and collapsed on the damp grass. Behind her, flames engulfed the colonial mansion she'd spent 2 years decorating, choosing paint colors, hanging curtains, making it a home. Every window blazed orange. The roof groaned ominously, timbers cracking. She lay there, shaking, watching her life burn. neighbor's porch light flickered on. Mrs. Catherine Bennett from next door, the elderly woman who always brought over homemade cookies, ran toward her in a bathrobe, her face contorted with horror. "Rebecca! Oh my God! Oh my God!" Mrs. Bennett pulled out her phone. "I'm calling 911. Don't move, honey." "My husband," Rebecca managed, her throat raw from smoke. "Grant, he was home. He has to be inside." But even as she said it, she knew. Grant's side of the bed had been cold when she woke. Not just empty, cold, like he'd been gone for hours. His car. She turned her head, looking at the driveway through vision blurred by smoke and tears. His silver BMW was gone. The space where it always sat, empty. Her phone. She needed her phone to call him, to find out where he was, to tell him their house was burning. Rebecca patted her nightgown frantically. No pockets. Her phone was inside, charging on the nightstand next to where she'd just been sleeping. Everything was inside. Their wedding photos, the baby's ultrasound pictures, her grandmother's jewelry, her mother's recipe book. Everything. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer with agonizing slowness. A firefighter wrapped her in a scratchy wool blanket 5 minutes later. Young guy, maybe 25, with kind hazel eyes behind his mask. "Ma'am, are you injured? Is anyone else inside the house?" "I don't know. My husband, I don't know where he is." Her voice sounded strange to her own ears, flat, disconnected. "We'll do a sweep of the property. You need to sit down. You're bleeding pretty badly." She looked at her arms for the first time. Scratches from the roses crisscrossed her skin in angry red lines. Deeper cuts from the glass gaped open. Blood ran down to her elbows in dark rivulets. She hadn't noticed. Shock, probably. 2 paramedics appeared with a gurney. The older one, a woman with gray hair pulled back in a tight bun named Elizabeth Davis, took her blood pressure, while the younger one, a man with a reassuring presence named Michael Thompson, checked her pupils. 160/95. Way too high, especially for someone pregnant. "We need to get you checked out immediately." "The baby." Rebecca's hand went to her belly. "Baby's moving?" Rebecca nodded, feeling another kick, weaker this time. "That's good. That's very good. But we still need to monitor you both. Come on, honey, let's get you safe." They loaded her into the ambulance. Through the open doors, Rebecca watched firefighters attack the blaze with massive hoses. Steam and smoke billowed up into the night sky, blotting out the stars. 3 in the morning and half the neighborhood stood in their yards watching, some filming on their phones. Someone was always filming these days. The battalion chief appeared at the ambulance doors before they could close. Older man, weathered face lined with years of seeing the worst humanity could do to itself. Sad eyes that had seen too many fires. "Mrs. Morrison, I'm Chief William Dalton. I need to ask you some questions before you go." "My husband, we found no one inside, but ma'am," he paused, choosing his words carefully. "Those deadbolts on your bedroom door and the other exits. They were installed recently. Someone locked them from the outside, all of them." Rebecca's breath caught. The world tilted. "What?" The fire started in 3 places simultaneously: the garage, the living room, and the kitchen. "That's not natural. That doesn't happen by accident. The arson investigators are on their way." "Someone tried to kill me." The words came out flat, factual, like she was commenting on the weather. "We'll determine that officially, but right now you need medical attention." He stepped back. "We'll talk more at the hospital, I promise." The paramedic closed the ambulance doors. The vehicle lurched forward, sirens wailing. Through the small window, Rebecca watched her home collapse in on itself. The roof caved in with a shower of sparks that looked almost beautiful against the black sky. The walls crumbled like they were made of paper. Everything gone. Everything she'd built, worked for, created. She pulled the blanket tighter around her shoulders with trembling hands. Tried Grant's number from the paramedic's phone. It rang once, then voicemail. His voice, smooth and professional. "You've reached Grant Morrison. Leave a message." She tried again. Same thing. He'd sent her to voicemail. Deliberately. "Ma'am, we're almost there," Elizabeth said gently, kindly, like she was talking to a frightened child. "Save your strength." But Rebecca wasn't listening. She'd pulled up her banking app on the borrowed phone with shaking fingers. Joint checking account. She and Grant kept everything there. Savings, checking, all of it. 3 years of marriage, every penny in one account because Grant said it was easier that way. Because he loved her, trusted her, wanted them to be a team. The screen loaded with agonizing slowness. Balance $0.00. Last transaction, 2:47 a.m. Withdrawal $73,112. Transfer to account ending in 4793. She didn't recognize that account number. They only had one account. Their account. Their shared life. Her hands started shaking so hard she nearly dropped the phone. Elizabeth caught it. "Ma'am, what's wrong? What is it?" Rebecca looked at her, tried to speak. Couldn't. The reality crashed over her in waves, each one colder than the last. The locked doors, the fire in 3 places, the empty account. Grant's missing car, 2:47 in the morning, 10 minutes before the smoke alarm went off, 10 minutes before she woke up choking. "He did this," she whispered. "He tried to kill us. He tried to kill his own baby." The baby kicked hard inside her belly, as if to say, "But we're still here. We survived." The emergency room smelled like antiseptic and burned things, a combination that made Rebecca's stomach turn. She sat on a paper-covered exam table while a nurse cleaned the cuts on her arms. Each touch of the alcohol swab stung, sharp and immediate, but she barely noticed. Her mind kept circling back to the same thought, over and over like a broken record. "Grant tried to kill us. My husband tried to murder me and our baby." "Blood pressure is still elevated," the nurse said. Her name tag read Margaret Foster. Middle-aged, competent hands, no-nonsense expression that probably came from years of seeing horrible things. 158/92. The doctor wants to keep you for observation. Your baby's at risk. "I don't have insurance anymore." Margaret paused, swab in hand, surprise flickering across her professional mask. "What?" "I don't have my insurance card. It burned. I don't have anything. My purse, my wallet, my ID, everything burned." Rebecca heard her own voice, distant and strange, like it belonged to someone else. "We'll figure that out later. Right now, we need to make sure you and baby are okay. That's what matters." Margaret finished bandaging the last cut with careful precision. "I'm going to hook you up to the fetal monitor. Just try to relax if you can." Relax, right? Her house just burned down. Her husband tried to kill her. She was homeless and penniless and 8 months pregnant. But sure, she'd just relax. Margaret wrapped 2 elastic bands around Rebecca's swollen belly. The monitor beeped steadily. The baby's heartbeat filled the room. Fast, strong, alive. 145 beats per minute. Normal. Healthy. "That's a good heartbeat," Margaret said, her expression softening slightly. "Nice and strong. Try to rest. I know it's hard, but try, Mom." Rest. In a hospital. After escaping a burning house. After discovering her husband emptied their accounts and disappeared into the night. "Sure, rest." Margaret left, closing the door quietly behind her. Rebecca lay back on the exam table and stared at the ceiling tiles, counting them to keep from screaming. 27 tiles across, 16 down, 432 total. She counted them twice to be absolutely sure, then counted them again. A knock on the door startled her. A woman in a cardigan and khakis entered, clipboard in hand, early 30s, gentle smile, eyes that had seen trauma before. "Mrs. Morrison, I'm Jennifer Matthews. I'm a social worker here at the hospital." "Okay. I understand you've been through an incredibly traumatic event tonight. I'm here to help connect you with resources, with help." Resources? The word felt foreign in her mouth. "Yes, do you have somewhere safe to stay? Family nearby? Friends who can help?" Rebecca thought about it, really thought about it for the first time. Her parents died in a car accident 6 years ago. Drunk driver, head-on collision, gone instantly. No siblings, only child. Grant's mother, Marlene, lived 30 minutes away in her mansion on the hill, but calling her seemed like a terrible idea right now. Marlene had never really liked her, had made that clear in 1,000 subtle ways. Friends. Did she have friends anymore? Grant had systematically isolated her over 3 years of marriage. Too busy for girls' nights out, too tired for coffee dates, too much drama, too much noise, too much time away from him. Until eventually the invitations stopped coming. Until she'd looked up one day and realized she was completely alone. Except Jillian Patterson, her best friend since third grade, since they'd bonded over hating dodgeball in gym class. But Jill worked night shifts as a nurse at County General. She'd be asleep now, exhausted from a 12-hour shift. "I'll figure something out," Rebecca said, because that's what she'd always done. Figured it out, made it work, survived. Jennifer's expression softened with something that looked uncomfortably like pity. "There's a domestic violence shelter across town, Hope Haven. They have space available. They can take you tonight." "I'm not—" Rebecca stopped. What was she going to say? She wasn't a victim of domestic violence? Her husband just tried to burn her alive while 8 months pregnant. If that wasn't domestic violence, what was? "It's temporary," Jennifer continued gently. "Just until you get back on your feet. They have counselors, legal advocates, job training, everything you need to start over." Start over, at 32, pregnant, with nothing. "Okay," Rebecca heard herself say. "Okay, thank you." Jennifer smiled, relieved. "Good, that's good. I'll make the arrangements. But first, there's a detective here who wants to speak with you. Are you up for that? You can say no." "Yes, I want to talk to him. I need to tell someone what happened." 5 minutes later, a man in his early 40s entered. Tall, broad-shouldered, tired eyes that had seen too much. He wore dark slacks and a wrinkled button-down with the sleeves rolled up. A detective's badge hung from his belt. Irish-American features with close-cropped dark hair going gray at the temples. "Mrs. Morrison, I'm Detective Raymond Sullivan. Most people call me Ray." He pulled up the plastic visitor's chair, turned it around, and sat down backwards on it. "How are you feeling?" "Like my husband tried to murder me." Ray didn't flinch, didn't look surprised. "That's exactly why I'm here. The arson investigators found accelerant residue in 3 locations. Gasoline. Your home security system was disabled remotely at 2:38 a.m. from an IP address we're tracing, and those deadbolts on your doors were installed yesterday afternoon. You were at a doctor's appointment?" Yesterday, while she'd been at her prenatal appointment, sitting in Dr. Marsh's waiting room for an extra hour because of an emergency delivery, Grant said he'd be working from home. Instead, he'd been installing locks to trap her inside, planning her murder while she looked at pamphlets about breastfeeding. "We found the hardware store receipt in your husband's car," Ray continued, watching her face carefully, "which we located at his mother's house on Willow Creek Road. He's there now, claims he left early this morning around 6 because you two had a fight about baby names. Says you were having a psychiatric episode related to the pregnancy. Hormone-induced psychosis," his words. A psychiatric episode. Rebecca felt something cold settle in her stomach. His words, not mine. I want to be very clear about that. Rebecca closed her eyes. Of course. Of course that's what he'd say. Paint her as unstable, hormonal, irrational, crazy. It was perfect. Who would believe the crazy pregnant woman over the successful businessman? "Mrs. Morrison, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest with me. Had your husband been violent with you before? Any history of physical abuse?" "Not physically, never physically, but he controlled everything. The money. I had to ask him for cash, like I was a child asking for an allowance. Where I went, he needed to know my location at all times. Who I talked to, he'd check my phone, my emails, my messages. He said it was because he loved me, because he wanted to take care of me, because the world was dangerous and I needed protecting. That's called coercive control. It's a recognized form of domestic abuse. I know that now. I didn't then. Or maybe I did and I just didn't want to see it." Ray leaned forward, his expression serious. "Mrs. Morrison, Rebecca, here's what I think happened. Your husband planned this very carefully. He's been planning it for months. He emptied your accounts, installed the locks, disabled the security system, set the fires in multiple locations to ensure the house would be completely destroyed. He intended for you to die in that house, along with your unborn child. The insurance payout would be substantial." "How much?" Her voice came out as a whisper. $2.3 million in Boam. Rebecca felt the number hit her like a physical blow. 2.3 million. That's what her life was worth to Grant. That's what their unborn daughter was worth. A financial transaction. But you survived, Ray said, which is a serious problem for him. Now he's scrambling to control the narrative, make you look unstable, unreliable, mentally ill. So when you accuse him, no one believes you. It's textbook narcissistic abuser behavior. Will anyone believe me? The question came out small, childlike. Ray met her eyes. I do. I've been doing this job for 20 years. I've interviewed hundreds of victims and hundreds of liars. I know the difference between a disturbed woman making false accusations and a woman telling the truth about surviving attempted murder. You're telling the truth, I believe you completely. Something in Rebecca's chest loosened slightly. Someone believed her. A stranger believed her when her own husband had tried to kill her. But I need to warn you about something, Ray continued, his expression darkening. Your husband is Julian Morrison's grandson, old money, very old money. The Morrison family has been in this city since before the Civil War. They have lawyers on retainer who've been handling their business since before you were born. They have connections at every level, police, courts, media. This is going to be harder than it should be. Much harder. What do I do? Rebecca felt tears threatening, but pushed them back. She couldn't fall apart. Not yet. You document everything, every interaction, every conversation, every threat. You stay safe. That's the most important thing. You let me build this case. And you don't talk to him, don't talk to his family, don't talk to anyone connected to him without a lawyer present. Understand? I understand. Ray handed her his card. Call me anytime, day or night. I mean that. 2 in the morning, you're scared. You call me, I'll answer. After Ray left, Rebecca picked up the phone Margaret had left on the side table. She stared at it for a long moment, then called Grant's number. It rang once, then went to voicemail again. She tried his mother. Marlene answered on the third ring, her voice sharp with irritation. Rebecca. The voice could have frozen fire. It's 4 in the morning. This had better be important. Your son burned our house down with me inside. Rebecca kept her voice steady. With your grandchild inside. Silence, then. That's a very serious accusation, Rebecca. A very serious thing to say about someone. It's not an accusation, it's what happened. He locked me in our bedroom. He set fires in 3 places. He emptied our bank accounts. He tried to kill me. I think the pregnancy hormones have affected your judgment more than you realize. Grant told me you've been unstable lately. Paranoid, accusatory. He's very worried about you, about your mental state. I'm 8 months pregnant and homeless because he tried to murder me. Call the fire department. Call the police. They'll tell you. Perhaps you should see someone, a therapist, a psychiatrist. Grant mentioned you've been having delusions, seeing patterns that aren't there. It's not uncommon in pregnancy, dear. The hormones can wreak havoc on one's mental state. I'm not delusional. Rebecca's voice rose despite her efforts to stay calm. The arson investigator found accelerant. Grant emptied our bank accounts at 2:47 this morning. He locked all the doors from the outside. These are facts, not delusions. If that were true, the police would have arrested him by firing. But they haven't, have they? So perhaps you should consider that your perception of events isn't treated accurate. Your reality isn't everyone's reality. Marlene's voice dripped with condescension. Grant is staying here until you get the help you clearly need. I suggest you focus on that baby and getting yourself right in the head. Goodbye, Rebecca. The line went dead. Rebecca sat there, holding the phone, shaking with rage and despair. Her mother-in-law, the woman who'd smiled at their wedding, who'd given a touching toast about welcoming Rebecca into the family, who'd thrown her a baby shower 3 months ago, all pastels and presents and promises. That woman just called her delusional. She pulled up Instagram on the phone, her hands trembling, typed in a name she'd been thinking about. Sienna Vale. Sienna was Grant's executive assistant, 26 years old, Instagram influencer wannabe with 40,000 followers. Perfectly contoured makeup in every photo. yoga poses in exotic locations, inspirational quotes about manifesting your best life. Rebecca had met her twice, once at Grant's office holiday party, once at a charity gala. Both times, Sienna had looked at her like she was furniture, like she was invisible. The latest Instagram story loaded, posted 2 hours ago, a video, their house, flames visible through the windows, smoke billowing into the sky, text overlay in flowing script. When God removes what's toxic, hash it, new beginnings, blessed life, hash universe, has a plan. Rebecca watched it 3 times, her hands shaking so hard she almost dropped the phone. The angle was from the street, far enough away to be safe but close enough to see everything. Sienna had been there, watching, filming. The comments rolled in. OMG, what happened? You good, babe? Everything happens for a reason. Wait, whose house is that? Sending love and light. Another story loaded, posted 1 hour ago. Sienna and Grant at an IHOP, of all places. Both smiling, coffee cups on the table, Grant's arm around her shoulders. Text. Morning after the universe cleared out the clutter. Sometimes karma works fast. Question. Grateful, hash moving on, hash at new chapter. The universe didn't clear out anything. Grant did. With gasoline and deadbolts and $73,000 withdrawn at 2:47 in the morning while his pregnant wife slept. Rebecca screenshot everything with shaking fingers, sent it to her personal email that Grant didn't know about, the one she'd set up years ago and kept secret without really knowing why. Evidence, she needed proof. She scrolled deeper into Sienna's Instagram, months and months back, found a highlight reel titled Close Friends that had accidentally been left public, probably meant to be private but set wrong. She clicked it. The first video, Sienna and Grant in a hotel room, her in his lap wearing lingerie, him kissing her neck, her giggling. Caption, 6 months strong, hash secret love. 6 months. They'd been having an affair for 6 months, while Rebecca was pregnant, while she was planning their daughter's nursery. The next video, Grant showing Sienna bank statements, both of them laughing. His voice, she's so stupid she doesn't even notice the charges. I've been moving money for months. Sienna, what if she finds out? Grant, she won't. And if she does, who's going to believe her? I'll just say she's crazy, hormonal. Pregnant women are always hysterical about something. Both of them laughing like it was the funniest thing in the world. The next, Grant's voice, serious now. Insurance payout will be huge once she's gone. She'll have nothing because she'll be dead. Sienna, how much are we talking? Grant, 2.3 million. We split it 50-50 after we're married. 6 months, divorce is final. We're set for life. Sienna, what about the baby though? Grant, cold as ice. Problem solves itself when the house burns. Natural tragedy. No baby, no custody, no child support. Clean slate. Sienna, that's so sad though. Grant, you want the money or not? Sienna, I mean, yeah, obviously. When are you doing it? Grant, soon, very soon. I'm installing the locks tomorrow. Rebecca dropped the phone. She couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process what she just heard. They'd planned this for months, not just to kill her, to kill their baby, their daughter, the little girl who was kicking inside her right now, all even trusting and completely innocent. Problem solves itself. The door opened. Margaret came back in, saw Rebecca's face, saw her gasping for air. Mrs. Morrison, your blood pressure alarm went off. Are you okay? What happened? No, Rebecca whispered, tears streaming down her face. I'm not okay. I'm not okay at all. He was going to kill us both. He was going to kill our baby. The social worker returned at 6 a.m. with paperwork and bad news. The domestic violence shelter, Hope Haven, was full. 23 women, 4 available beds, all taken in the hours since Jennifer had called. Rebecca would make 24 if they stretched the rules, but there simply wasn't space. I'm so sorry, Jennifer said, and she genuinely looked sorry. It's the holidays. Every shelter in the city is packed beyond capacity. Domestic violence always spikes around the holidays. Stress, family gatherings, financial pressure. But Father Brennan runs a church shelter on Maple Street, St. Michael's Episcopal. He opens the doors at 6 p.m. You could try there. 6 p.m., 12 hours from now, 12 hour until she had somewhere to sleep. Where do I go until then? Rebecca asked the question, even though she knew there wasn't a good answer. Jennifer's expression turned helpless, apologetic. The hospital needs this room for incoming patients. I'm so sorry. There's a McDonald's 2 blocks east. They're open 24 hours. You could wait there. I'm so sorry, Rebecca. I wish I had better options. So at 6:20 a.m. on a December morning, Rebecca Morrison found herself standing outside County General Hospital with nowhere to go. She wore hospital socks because her feet had been too cut up for her blood-soaked slippers. Someone, a kind nurse whose name Rebecca never caught, had given her a pair of donated sweatpants and a hoodie from the Lost and Found. The clothes smelled like cigarette smoke and were 2 sizes too big, hanging off her pregnant frame. A different nurse, an older woman named Dorothy Williams, who was ending her night shift, pressed 2 $20 bills into Rebecca's hand before she left. There's a McDonald's 2 blocks east, honey. Get yourself something to eat. Take care of that baby. Thank you, Rebecca managed, her throat tight. You're going to be okay, Dorothy said, squeezing her hand. I know it doesn't feel like it now, but you're going to be okay. You're stronger than you think. Rebecca walked 2 blocks east in hospital socks and donated clothes, 8 months pregnant, in December. The wind cut through the thin hoodie like it wasn't there. Contractions tightened her belly. Not real labor, just Braxton Hicks. Practice contractions. Her body preparing for something she wasn't ready for, could never be ready for. Inside McDonald's, the warmth hit her like a physical embrace. She ordered coffee and an Egg McMuffin with the money Dorothy had given her, carefully calculating. $40. Make it last. Make it count. She sat in a booth by the window and watched the sun come up over the city she'd lived in her whole life. Watched people walk by, heading to work, to the gym, to their normal lives. None of them knew she was homeless. None of them could tell by looking at her that she'd escaped a burning house just hours ago. She pulled out the phone Dorothy had let her borrow temporarily, just for today. Tried calling Jill again. No answer. Jill would be sleeping after her night shift, her phone on silent. Rebecca couldn't blame her for not answering an unknown number at 6:30 in the morning. She scrolled through Instagram again, unable to stop herself. Like picking at a scab. Sienna had posted another update. A photo of Sienna and Grant having breakfast at some upscale restaurant. Rebecca recognized it as the Garden Room, a place she and Grant had gone for their anniversary. Mimosas on the table, fresh flowers. Both of them glowing, radiant, happy. Caption, new chapter, new life, new blessings. Sometimes the universe removes people from your path to make room for your real journey to begin. Grateful, moving forward, #blessed and highly favored, #new beginnings. The comments had multiplied like bacteria. You're literally glowing. OMG relationship goals. What happened last night? I'm so confused. That dress is everything. And then buried in the comments, people starting to piece it together. Isn't that Grant Morrison? I heard his house burned down last night. Yeah, with his pregnant wife inside. Wait, is this the Mistress? This is so messed up. Why are you posting happy pictures if someone's house burned? So people were starting to understand. Good. Rebecca screenshot those comments too, added them to her growing folder of evidence. Evidence of what? She wasn't entirely sure yet, but she knew she needed to document everything. Every post, every comment, every crumb of proof that Grant and Sienna were together, were happy while Rebecca was homeless. She made the $40 stretch. Another coffee at 9 a.m. to justify staying, a bagel for lunch at noon, another coffee at 2 p.m. She sat in the McDonald's for 8 hours, watching the lunch rush come and go, watching families with small children, watching business people tap on laptops. The manager, a tired-looking man in his 50s named Robert Mitchell, gave her a look around 2:30 that said she'd been there too long. Time to go. She walked to Maple Street slowly, painfully, found the church. A modest brick building with a wooden sign, St. Michael's Episcopal Church. Below it, smaller letters, Community shelter opens 6 p.m. It was 3:15 p.m. Rebecca sat on the cold stone steps. She had 2 hours and 45 minutes to wait. The December sun provided minimal warmth. She pulled the hoodie tighter around her pregnant belly and tried not to think about what her life had become in less than 24 hours. An older man walking a golden retriever stopped on the sidewalk. White hair, kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "You okay, miss? You need help?" "I'm fine, thank you." "And you sure? You look like you could use a warm meal. A warm place. There's a shelter that opens at 6, but that's still a few hours, so." "I know, I'm waiting for it." The man's expression shifted to understanding, to pity. He pulled out his wallet. "Here, please. Get yourself something warm to eat." He handed her a $10 bill. "I'm Richard, by the way, Richard Anderson. I volunteer at the church food bank on Thursdays if you need anything else." "Thank you," Rebecca said, taking it because she had no pride left to refuse. "Thank you so much. God bless you, dear, and congratulations on the baby." He walked away, the dog trotting beside him, toward his nice house and his nice life. Rebecca stared at the $10 bill. A stranger had just given her money. She was that person now. The person people felt sorry for. The person who needed charity. The person who sat on church steps waiting for a shelter to open. She did what she always did when overwhelmed, made a list, an mental list since she had no paper, no phone of her own, nothing to write with. 1. Stay alive. 2. Keep the baby safe. 3. Document everything. 4. Make them pay. Simple. Impossible. Necessary. At exactly 6:04 p.m., a priest arrived. 70-something, thick glasses, kind eyes behind them, wearing a simple black cassock. He took one look at Rebecca, visibly pregnant, wearing donated clothes, shivering on the steps, and didn't ask any questions. Just opened the church hall doors. "Come in, dear. It's cold out here. Come inside." The shelter filled quickly. 27 people for 15 come. Families, single mothers, elderly men, veterans, addicts trying to get clean. Every cot represented a story of how life could fall apart. Rebecca got a cot because she was pregnant. A woman who looked about 60 gave up her spot without being asked. "I'm tougher than I look, honey. You need it more than I do. You got a baby to worry about." The woman's name was Patricia Rodriguez. She'd been homeless for 3 years, she told Rebecca matter-of-factly. "Started with a medical bill I couldn't pay. Cancer treatment, no insurance. Then everything dominoed. Lost my apartment, lost my lost everything. But you learn to survive. We all do. You'll learn too." Rebecca lay on the thin cot that night, listening to 26 other people breathe and snore and shift and cry quietly in the darkness. The baby kicked steadily inside her. Alive. Still alive. She placed both hands on her belly. "We're going to be okay," she whispered to her daughter. "I promise I'll figure this out. I'll keep you safe." Her borrowed phone buzzed, Jill finally calling back. Rebecca stepped outside to answer, into the cold December night. "Jill?" "Oh my God, Rebecca, what number is this? Are you okay? I just saw the news about your house. They're saying it was arson. Where are you? Where's Grant?" The concern in Jill's voice broke something in Rebecca. She told Jill everything. All of it. The fire, Grant, the empty accounts, the locked doors, Sienna, the videos, the affair, the planning, everything. It poured out in a 30-minute stream of consciousness, words tumbling over words, tears streaming down her face. When she finished, there was silence on the line. Then, "That absolute piece of garbage. I never liked him. I should have said something years ago. I should have pushed harder when you started pulling away from everyone. You did say something. You told me he was controlling. I just wasn't ready to hear it. I didn't want to hear it. Where are you right now?" "St. Michael's Church Shelter on Maple Street. I'm coming to get you." "Jill, it's almost midnight." "I don't care what time it is. I'm coming. Stay there." Jill arrived 45 minutes later in her beat-up Honda Civic, red hair pulled back in a messy bun, still wearing her scrubs from the hospital, eyes blazing with fury. She pulled Rebecca into a fierce hug right there on the church steps. "That absolute monster. I just can't believe someone would do that. To anyone, but especially to you. To your baby? Jill was crying now too. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you're going through this. I need to go to the police, Rebecca said. I have evidence, videos of them planning everything. I need to show someone. Then let's go. Right now, let's go to the police. They spent 3 hours at the central police station, passed between desks, each officer more skeptical than the last, more dismissive. A pregnant woman accusing her rich husband of attempted murder? Sure, honey, they'd heard it all before. Finally, Detective Sullivan returned from another case, saw Rebecca sitting in the waiting area, recognized her. Mrs. Morrison, what are you doing here? I thought you were resting at the hospital. I got discharged, but I found something, evidence. I need to show you. In an interview room, Rebecca showed Ray everything. All the videos from Sienna's Instagram, Grant and Sienna planning, laughing about Rebecca's stupidity, discussing the insurance money in cold, calculating detail. Grant saying problem solves itself about their baby like he was discussing a broken appliance. Ray watched in silence, his jaw getting tighter and tighter. When the videos finished, he sat back in his chair. This is confession. This is conspiracy to commit murder. This is premeditation. This is literally everything we need to arrest them both. Then arrest them, Rebecca said. Please, arrest them before they run. I will. I promise you I will. But I need you to prepare yourself for something. Ray leaned forward. Your husband has already filed a missing person report on you. Claims you wandered off during the fire in a state of psychiatric distress. That you're a danger to yourself and the baby. He's already building his defense. Already controlling the narrative. Of course he did. He's painting you as the unreliable narrator. The crazy pregnant woman making wild accusations. We need to build our case carefully, methodically. Document everything. Get you a lawyer, a good lawyer. Do this right so he can't wiggle out of it on technicalities. Jill squeezed Rebecca's hand. I know someone. Howard Finch. He does pro bono work for domestic violence cases. He's won cases against rich abusers before. I'll call him first thing in the morning. Can I stay with you? Rebecca asked Jill, hating how small her voice sounded. Just for a few days until I figure something out? You're staying with me as long as you need, Jill said fiercely. You're my best friend. Of course you're staying with me. By 3 a.m., Rebecca was on Jill's couch in her tiny apartment, wrapped in a borrowed blanket, wearing borrowed pajamas. Jill had charged her phone, given her a bag with toiletries and clean clothes, pressed $100 cash into her hand. This is all I have right now, but payday is Friday and I'll give you more then. We'll figure this out together. That night, Rebecca lay on Jill's lumpy couch and thought about the woman she'd been 72 hours ago. Naive, trusting, willfully blind to all the red flags she'd rationalized away because admitting the truth would have meant admitting she'd made a terrible mistake, would have meant being alone. She thought about the woman she was becoming, harder, smarter, unwilling to ever be that vulnerable again. She placed both hands on her belly, felt the baby shift and kick. We survived, she whispered. That's something. That's everything, actually. We survived. Howard Finch looked nothing like a lawyer. 54 years old, rumpled suit that had seen better days, glasses held together with tape, perpetual coffee stain on his tie. He worked out of a tiny office above a dry cleaner on the shabby end of town. The whole place smelled like starch and determination in old law books. So your husband tried to burn you alive for insurance money, Howard said, reviewing Rebecca's statement through his taped glasses. And his mistress posted about it on Instagram in real time. And you have video evidence of them planning the whole thing months in advance. Yes. And his family has serious money. Morrison development money. Old money. His grandfather, Julian Morrison, founded Morrison Development in the 1950s. They own half the commercial real estate in the city. Grant's trust fund alone is worth millions. Howard smiled. It wasn't a pleasant smile. It was predatory. Good. Excellent, actually. I love beating rich assholes who think money can buy them out of consequences. Over the next week, things happened fast. Ray obtained a warrant for Grant's phone based on the Instagram videos. Found deleted text messages between him and Sienna planning the fire in excruciating detail. Found internet searches for best accelerant for house fire. how to disable home security system remotely, life insurance payout timeline after death, how long does arson investigation take, and can they prove arson? Ray interviewed the hardware store employee who sold Grant the deadbolts. Kyle Jenkins, 19 years old, working his way through community college. The kid remembered Grant clearly. He came in around 2 p.m., knew exactly what he wanted, asked specifically for deadbolts that could only be opened from the outside. I asked why, and he said he was worried about his wife sleepwalking while pregnant, didn't want her wandering outside in the middle of the night. I thought it was weird, but not illegal, you know? Now I feel sick about it. I helped him trap her. Ray pulled Grant's financial records going back 6 months. Discovered Grant had been systematically moving money out of their joint accounts. Small amounts at first, 200 here, 500 there, then larger amounts, thousands, building up to that final withdrawal of $73,000 at 2:47 in the morning, transferred to an account in Sienna's name. But Grant's lawyers were faster and better funded. They filed for emergency conservatorship of Rebecca, claiming she was mentally incompetent due to pregnancy-related psychiatric distress. They cited her erratic behavior, paranoid delusions, inability to maintain stable housing, and danger to herself and her unborn child. The unstable housing was the shelter. They were using her homelessness, which Grant had caused, against her. They're going to use everything against you, Howard warned during a meeting at his cramped office. They're going to try to get custody of the baby the minute she's born. They'll claim you're an unfit mother before you even have a chance to be a mother. It's a standard rich person playbook. Discredit, dehumanize, destroy. She's not even born yet. Doesn't matter to them. They're controlling the narrative, making you look crazy so when you accuse Grant, no one believes you. So when this goes to trial, the jury sees an unreliable, unstable woman with an axe to grind against her successful husband. People already don't believe me. His mother called me delusional. She called me a liar. Then we make them believe you. We get you a psychiatric evaluation from a respected professional. You pass with flying colors because you're not crazy, you're traumatized. We document every interaction with Grant's legal team. We show the court that you're the stable one, the truthful one, and he's the one who committed premeditated attempted murder. The psychiatric evaluation took place 2 days later. 3 hours in an office that smelled like lavender and leather. Dr. Patricia Walsh was in her 60s, gray hair cut short, warm but penetrating eyes. She asked hundreds of questions, made Rebecca recount the fire in excruciating detail, every moment from waking up to falling through the window. Asked about her childhood, happy, mostly, until her parents died. Asked about her relationship with Grant, how they met, the courtship, when things started to change. Asked about her plans for the baby. You're not delusional, Dr. Walsh said at the end, removing her reading glasses. You're not psychotic. You're not experiencing any kind of break from reality. You're traumatized. You're processing a near-death experience while pregnant and suddenly homeless. The fact that you're this coherent, this organized in your thinking, is actually remarkable. Most people who survive what you survived would be completely non-functional. So I'm not crazy. Rebecca needed to hear it said explicitly. Not even a little bit. You're a woman who survived attempted murder and is doing everything right to protect yourself and your child. Anyone who says otherwise is either lying or didn't bother to actually evaluate you properly. The report went to the judge. 12 pages of detailed psychological assessment. The conservatorship petition was denied. But then the media picked up the story and everything exploded. The headline appeared first on the local news website. Pregnant woman survives house fire, claims husband attempted murder. The article was sympathetic at first, detailed the evidence, the accelerant, the locked doors, the empty accounts, quoted Detective Sullivan about the ongoing investigation, included a photo of Rebecca from before, from her Facebook profile, smiling at a charity gala in a blue dress. She looked happy, naive, nothing like the woman she was now. Grant's family's PR machine kicked in within hours. Anonymous sources began talking to reporters, sources who described Rebecca as having a history of dramatic behavior and attention-seeking tendencies. They said the marriage had been troubled for years because of Rebecca's controlling nature and jealous outbursts. They said Grant was devastated by her false accusations and just wanted his wife to get the help she needed. The narrative split down the middle, like the entire country dividing into camps. Half the internet believed Rebecca, half believed Grant. Comment sections became war zones. Why would he burn down his own house? Makes no sense. Rich men think they can get away with anything. She's probably lying for attention. Women do this all the time. There's literal video evidence. Are you blind? Innocent until proven guilty. She barely escaped with her life. Where there's smoke, there's fire. And I don't mean the house. Then Sienna posted an Instagram live video that changed everything. Rebecca watched it on Jill's laptop, her heart sinking with every second. 2,000 people watching live. 5,000 by the time it had ended. 10,000 within an hour after it was archived. Sienna sat in what was clearly Marlene's expensive living room. Rebecca recognized the oil paintings, the antique furniture, perfect makeup, tears streaming down her face on cue, voice shaking with what seemed like genuine emotion. I've been getting so much hate. You guys don't know the full story. You don't know what I've been through, what Grant's been through. Rebecca, she paused, wiping away tears. Rebecca has been abusing Grant for years, emotionally, psychologically, financially. She controlled every aspect of his life. I helped him escape an abusive situation. I'm not the villain here. I'm trying to protect someone I love from a toxic, dangerous person who's now making false accusations to cover her own abuse. The comments split 50-50 instantly. OMG, I believe you. Emotional abuse is real. You're literally the mistress, though. Male victims of abuse deserve support, too. She's 8 months pregnant, and you're defending attempted murder? You can tell she's lying. Look at her eyes. Leave her alone. She's a victim, too. Rebecca closed the laptop. She wanted to scream, to defend herself, to fight back, to tell her side, to explain, to make people understand. But Howard's advice echoed in her head. Don't engage, stay silent, document everything. Be the woman telling the truth, not the crazy ex-wife they're trying to paint. Let them show their true colors while you stay dignified. So Rebecca stayed silent, didn't respond, didn't defend herself, watched her reputation get torn apart in real time while she couldn't say a word. She moved in with Jill temporarily, slept on the couch in the cramped one-bedroom apartment, tried to rest, tried to stay calm for the baby. But her blood pressure kept climbing, 150/93, then 155/96, then 158/95. Dr. Catherine Marsh, Jill's colleague at the hospital, an obstetrician who agreed to see Rebecca pro bono, examined her with growing concern. You're developing preeclampsia. Your blood pressure is dangerously high. You need bed rest, low stress, careful monitoring. If this gets worse, we might not be able to wait until full term. I'm homeless and my husband tried to kill me, and his mistress is calling me an abuser on social media. How am I supposed to have low stress? Rebecca laughed, but it came out broken. By letting people help you. By accepting that you can't control everything. I'm admitting you for observation. DeMarsh's tone left no room for argument. Rebecca spent 4 days in the hospital on strict bed rest. Jill visited every day after her shifts, bringing magazines and snacks and updates from the outside world. Howard worked from Rebecca's bedside, laptop balanced on the rolling table, building the case. Ray came by with updates. We found the doorbell camera footage from your neighbor's house, Ray said on a day 3, looking satisfied. Mrs. Patterson on the corner. Shows Grant leaving your driveway with suitcases at 2:28 a.m., returning at 2:45. That's when we think he actually set the fires. Staying for 3 minutes, then leaving again. The fire started at 2:57 according to the first 911 call. Timeline matches perfectly. That's premeditation. That's premeditation and then some. And the insurance investigator found something interesting. The accelerant pattern started in the garage, where Grant stored his expensive cars, a vintage Corvette, a Porsche, the BMW you knew about. Except all the cars were moved out 3 days before the fire, to his mother's property. He moved them to safety. He protected his cars, but not his wife, not his baby. Exactly, shows what he valued. And that's powerful evidence of planning and intent. The district attorney is building a case. We're close, Rebecca. Very close. On the fourth day, Rebecca's blood pressure dropped to 138/88. Still high, but manageable with medication. Dr. Marsh reluctantly cleared her for discharge with strict instructions. Stay with your friend. Rest as much as possible. No stress. I know that's impossible given the circumstances, but try. Take your medication. Come back immediately if you have a headache, vision changes, or upper right quadrant pain. I mean it, Rebecca. This is serious. But stress found her anyway because stress always does. A process server appeared at Jill's apartment the day after Rebecca was discharged, handed her papers with a sympathetic expression. Grant was suing for divorce, claiming abandonment, alienation of affection, and seeking full custody of the unborn child. He burned our house down with me in it, and he's claiming I abandoned him? Rebecca stared at the papers in disbelief. Howard read through them carefully, his expression darkening. It's a strategy. File first. Control the narrative. Make you the defendant instead of the plaintiff. Force you to respond to his claims instead of focusing on his attempted murder. We'll counterfile. We'll bury him in motions. Don't worry. But Rebecca did worry. Late at night, lying on Jill's couch, feeling the baby kick and roll inside her, running out of room, she worried about everything. What if no one believed her? What if Grant's money bought him freedom? What if she lost custody of her daughter before she was even born? What if the baby came early because of the stress? What if something went wrong during delivery? What if? She couldn't lose this baby. This baby was all she had left. This baby was the only good thing that remained. One night, she got up at 2 a.m., unable to sleep. Found Jill in the kitchen making chamomile tea, also unable to sleep. Can't sleep either? Jill asked, pouring a second cup. Too much in my head. Want to talk about it or just sit? Rebecca sat at the small kitchen table. I keep thinking about all the signs I missed, or didn't miss, ignored. The way Grant controlled everything but made it seem like love, like protection. The way he isolated me from you, from everyone, until I had no one but him. The way he made me doubt my own perceptions, my own reality. I saw it all happening, and I convinced myself it was normal, that it was what marriage looked like. That's what abusers do. They make you doubt yourself. It's not your fault. But I should have been smarter. You were surviving. That's different from being stupid. You were doing what you needed to do to survive. Rebecca wrapped her hands around the warm mug. I just want this to be over. I want him in jail where he belongs. I want my daughter safe. I want to stop feeling afraid every single moment of every single day. You will. We're going to make sure of it. I promise you, Becca. We're going to make sure of it. Rebecca wanted to believe her, but belief felt dangerous now. She'd believed Grant when he said he loved her. Look where that got her. So instead of believing, she decided to fight, to document, to survive. She was getting good at surviving now. 3 weeks passed in a blur of legal motions and doctor's appointments and sleepless nights. Rebecca stayed at Jill's apartment, sleeping on the couch, trying to rest but never quite succeeding. The stress was taking its toll. Her blood pressure remained dangerously high despite medication. 148/92, 152/94. Dr. Marsh wanted to induce labor early, but Rebecca refused. I want to give her every day I can. Every day she stays inside is one more day she gets stronger. Rebecca, you're at 37 weeks. That's full term. The baby would be fine if we delivered now, but you might not be. Just a few more days, please. Just let me get to 38 weeks. But her body had other plans. It was a Tuesday afternoon, 3 weeks and 2 days after the fire. Rebecca was at the public library, one of the few places she could go that was warm and free and had Wi-Fi. She was researching tenant rights, trying to figure out if there was any way to get her belongings from the burned house site, when the first real contraction hit. Not Braxton Hicks, real labor. She gasped, clutched the edge of the library table. The pain radiated from her back around to her belly, squeezing like a vice, lasted maybe 45 seconds, then released. False alarm, she told herself, just more practice contractions. But 20 minutes later, another one came. Stronger, longer. Then another 15 minutes after that. Rebecca pulled out her phone, the cheap prepaid one Jill had bought her, and texted Jill, "I think I'm in labor." Jill's response came immediately. "How far apart are contractions?" 15 to 20 minutes. "Stay calm. I'm at work until 6. Can you get to the hospital?" Rebecca looked at her phone. It was 3:30 p.m. She had no car, no money for an Uber. The $100 Jill had given her was long gone, spent on food and necessities. The hospital was 4 miles away. "I'll figure it out." She gathered her things slowly, carefully, walked out of the library into the cold February afternoon, started walking toward the hospital. 4 miles. She could do 4 miles. Another contraction hit at the corner of 5th and Main. She grabbed a street sign pole, breathing through it. A woman walking by stopped. "Are you okay? Do you need help?" "I'm fine, just having a baby." "Do you need a ride? An ambulance?" "I'm fine, thank you." Rebecca waved her off. She didn't want an ambulance. Couldn't afford an ambulance. The hospital bills would be crushing enough without adding emergency transport. She made it 2 more blocks before another contraction hit. Stronger. Closer. Maybe 10 minutes since the last one. This was happening faster than it should. She pulled out her phone to call Jill, but the battery was dead. She'd forgotten to charge it the night before, had been too stressed and exhausted to remember. Rebecca stood on the corner of 7th and Oak, 8 months pregnant, in labor, with a dead phone and no way to get help. A car pulled up beside her. The driver's window rolled down. Rebecca's heart sank as she recognized the car, the person inside. Sienna Vale, Grant's mistress, smiling. "Rebecca, oh my God, are you okay? You look like you're in pain." Rebecca turned away, started walking. Another contraction hit. She couldn't hide it, couldn't pretend. She stopped, braced herself against a building wall, breathing through it. Sienna got out of her car, phone already in hand. Recording. "Oh my God, you guys, I just found Grant's wife on the street and she's in labor. This is crazy. She's literally about to have a baby on the sidewalk." "Stop filming me," Rebecca managed through gritted teeth. "Leave me alone. I'm trying to help you. You need a hospital. Get in the car. I'll drive you." "I'd rather give birth on the street than get in a car with you." Another contraction, stronger. The pain was incredible now. Rebecca couldn't walk through them anymore. She slid down the wall until she was sitting on the cold concrete. Sienna kept filming. "You guys, she's refusing help. I'm literally offering to take her to the hospital and she's refusing. This is the kind of irrational behavior Grant was talking about." "Stop filming me," Rebecca shouted. "Stop filming me and leave me alone." A small crowd had gathered, people with their phones out, filming. Everyone was always filming. "Someone call 911, an older man said. "She needs an ambulance." "Already calling," a woman responded. But the contractions were coming faster now. 5 minutes apart, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. This baby was coming now. Not in an ambulance, not at a hospital, now. "You guys, I think she's going to have the baby right here," Sienna narrated to her phone camera, her voice excited. "This is insane. Grant's crazy wife is literally giving birth on the street. Make sure you're following me for updates." Rebecca wanted to scream at her, to fight back, but another contraction hit, and she couldn't do anything but survive it. The ambulance arrived 7 minutes later, but by then it was too late. Rebecca could feel the baby coming, feel the pressure, feel her body taking over. "I need to push," she told the paramedic, a young woman with kind eyes named Jennifer Brooks. "Can you make it to the ambulance? We're right here." "No, the baby's coming now." Okay, we can do this." Jennifer looked at her partner, an older man named Thomas Wright. "Tom, get the obstetric kit. We're delivering here." They moved her into the back of the ambulance, but there wasn't time to drive anywhere. Rebecca pushed 3 times, screaming with it each push, and then suddenly relief. Release, a baby's cry. "It's a girl," Jennifer said, placing the tiny, wet, screaming infant on Rebecca's chest. "You did it. She's here." Rebecca looked down at her daughter, born in the back of an ambulance parked on a street corner, and felt everything else fall away. The pain, the fear, the humiliation of Sienna filming her most vulnerable moment. None of it mattered. Her daughter was here, alive, breathing, crying. Perfect. Through the ambulance windows, Rebecca could see Sienna still filming, still narrating to her phone. Oh my God, she just had the baby. This is crazy, you guys. The baby was just born in an ambulance on the street. This is the most insane thing I've ever seen. The comments on Sienna's live stream were rolling in. This is so sad. Why are you filming this? This is literally exploitation. Someone help her instead of filming. You're disgusting for live streaming this. But also, wow, this is crazy. Can't believe I'm watching this live. This is like a movie. Following for updates, 10,000 people watching, 15,000, 20,000. Watching Rebecca's most vulnerable moment turn into content, into entertainment, into clicks and views and engagement. Jennifer gently covered Rebecca and the baby with a blanket. We're taking you to the hospital now. You both need to be checked out. You did amazing, Mama. She's beautiful. They drove to County General with sirens on. Rebecca held her daughter, still unnamed, still just baby girl Morrison, and tried not to think about the thousands of people who just watched her give birth. At the hospital, Dr. Marsh was waiting. Rebecca, we saw the live stream. Half the city saw the live stream. How are you feeling? Humiliated, violated, exhausted. But she's okay, right? The baby's okay? Let's get you both checked out. The examination took an hour. The baby was healthy, 5 pounds, 10 ounces, 18 inches long, born at 37 weeks and 3 days. Small but perfect. All 10 fingers, all 10 toes, lungs working beautifully. Rebecca had torn during delivery, second-degree tears that needed stitches. But overall, she was stable. Blood pressure was still elevated, but not dangerously so. You're both incredibly lucky, Dr. Marsh said. I can't believe you walked 2 miles in active labor. I didn't have a choice. You always have a choice. You could have called an ambulance from the library. I couldn't afford an ambulance. Dr. Marsh's expression softened. Oh, Rebecca, the social worker is going to talk to you about financial assistance. You qualify for emergency Medicaid. The birth will be covered. All of this will be covered. After Dr. Marsh left, a nurse came in with paperwork. Do you have a name for the baby yet? Rebecca looked at her daughter, thought about everything they'd survived together. The fire, the homelessness, the fear, the fight. Being born in the back of an ambulance while being filmed for entertainment. Rising from ashes, starting over, being reborn. Phoenix, Rebecca said. Her name is Phoenix Rose Morrison. That's beautiful, the nurse said, writing it down. Phoenix Rose, born February 2nd, 5 pounds 10 ounces. They stayed in the hospital for 2 days. Rebecca learned to breastfeed, harder than anyone had told her, painful at first, but eventually satisfying. Learned to change diapers on a squirming newborn. Learned that newborns sleep in 20-minute increments and scream for reasons that have nothing to do with hunger, dirty diapers, or anything rational. Jill stayed with her the whole time, sleeping in the uncomfortable chair by the window, helping with the baby at night, making sure Rebecca rested when she could. But the internet was exploding. Sienna's live stream had gone viral. 2 million views, 5 million, 10 million. News outlets were picking it up. Millionaire's pregnant wife gives birth in ambulance while Mistress films for social media. The backlash against Sienna was immediate and severe. This is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. She filmed a woman giving birth without consent. This is exploitation. How is this legal? She should be arrested. But also, thousands of comments defending her. She was trying to help. The wife refused a ride to the hospital. Sometimes you have to document the truth. This proves the wife is unstable. The comments section was World War III. Detective Sullivan came to the hospital on the second day. Rebecca, I need to talk to you about the live stream. I don't want to talk about it. I understand, but we might be able to use it. Sienna filmed herself harassing you while you were in active labor. She violated the protective order by approaching you. She exploited you for social media content without consent. These are crimes. Can you prove I didn't consent? You told her repeatedly to stop filming on the video. That's explicit lack of consent. We have her dead to rights on this. Good. Add it to the charges. Already done. And Rebecca, the video also helps your case, shows how vulnerable you were, shows how they've been tormenting you even after the attempted murder. A jury will see that, and it'll be powerful. After Ray left, Rebecca held Phoenix and thought about the cruelty of it all. Her most vulnerable moment, giving birth to her daughter, had been turned into entertainment. Millions of people had watched, would always be able to watch. The video would exist forever, somewhere on the internet, no matter how many times it got taken down. Phoenix stirred in her arms, made a small sound, settled back to sleep. "I'm sorry," Rebecca whispered to her daughter. "I'm sorry your birth was turned into a spectacle. You deserve better. We both deserve better." On discharge day, a social worker came to see her. Not Jennifer from before, but a different woman named Susan Taylor. Older, kind eyes, soft voice. "Rebecca, I've been working with the court and with various agencies. I have some options for you." "Options?" "Temporary housing. There's a program for new mothers in crisis. They have an apartment available. 2 bedrooms, fully furnished. You can stay there for up to 6 months while you get on your feet." "What's the catch?" "No catch. It's specifically for situations like yours. Domestic violence survivors with newborns. You qualify." Rebecca wanted to cry. An apartment, not a shelter, not a couch, an actual apartment. "When can I move in?" "Today, if you want. The apartment is ready." That afternoon, Jill drove Rebecca and Phoenix to the apartment. It was in a modest building on the edge of town, nothing fancy but clean and safe. Second floor, 2 bedrooms, bathroom, kitchen, small living room. Furnished with donated furniture. Mismatched but functional. Rebecca stood in the middle of the living room holding Phoenix and felt something crack open in her chest. Hope. "This is perfect," she whispered. "This is absolutely perfect." Jill hugged her carefully, mindful of Phoenix between them. "You're going to be okay. Both of you are going to be okay." That night, Rebecca put Phoenix down in the donated crib in the second bedroom. Stood there watching her daughter sleep. This tiny human who'd been born into chaos but was somehow still perfect. "We made it," Rebecca whispered. "We survived." But she knew the hardest part was still coming. The trial. Grant's defense started falling apart on a Tuesday morning in early March, but it happened slowly, then all at once. The first crack, a new witness Ray hadn't interviewed before, came forward after seeing Sienna's viral live stream. Mrs. Eleanor Patterson, 82 years old, lived 3 houses down from the burned Morrison house. Night owl, always up late reading mystery novels. Bedroom window facing the Morrison driveway. "I saw him leave that night," she told Ray in a recorded interview. "Around 2:30. I noted it because it was unusual. Who leaves at that hour?" He came back maybe 15, 20 minutes later, went inside for just a few minutes, then left again, driving fast. "I thought it was odd, but figured it was none of my business. Then I saw the fire trucks and I put 2 and 2 together. But after seeing that poor girl give birth on the street while that horrible woman filmed her, I couldn't stay quiet anymore." Her testimony placed Grant at the house minutes before the fire started, contradicting his claim that he'd left at 6 a.m. after an argument. The second crack, the insurance investigator finished his comprehensive report. The fire had 3 separate and distinct points of origin. Garage Janin's garage, living room, kitchen. The accelerant pattern showed someone had poured gasoline deliberately in trails designed to spread the fire quickly. The security system had been disabled remotely using Grant's phone and his login credentials. The deadbolts were installed the day before using Grant's credit card. Receipts showing 2:17 p.m. purchase. This was premeditated arson with intent to kill, the investigator concluded in his report. "One of the clearest cases I've seen in 30 years of doing this work." The third crack, Sienna made her biggest mistake yet. After the backlash from the birth livestream, she posted a TikTok video titled "My Truth, Why I Filmed Rebecca." She sat in what looked like a bedroom, perfect ring lighting, makeup flawless, despite the tear tracks she'd carefully maintained. "I know people are saying I'm a terrible person for filming Rebecca giving birth, but you guys don't understand. I was documenting abuse. Grant needed evidence of her instability for the custody case. She refused medical help. I offered her a ride to the hospital and she refused. I was gathering proof that she's an unfit mother." Sometimes you have to do hard things to protect children. And the video had been viewed 500,000 times when someone noticed something crucial in the background. Hanging on the wall behind Sienna, clearly visible, Rebecca's antique mirror. The ornate gold-framed mirror that had hung in their bedroom. The one that supposedly burned in the fire. But there was more. On the dresser beside the mirror, a distinctive silver jewelry box that had belonged to Rebecca's grandmother. A photo frame with Rebecca's wedding photo, but Rebecca had been cut out, replaced with a photo of Sienna. The comments exploded within minutes. That's the wife's stuff in the background. How do you have her mirror if it burned? The jewelry box too. I remember that from her old Instagram posts. She stole from Rebecca and is displaying it like a trophy. This proves she was in the house before, during the fire. Someone send this to the police now. Sienna deleted the video within an hour. Too late. Screenshots everywhere. Someone had downloaded it and re-uploaded it to multiple platforms. 1 million views, 2 million, 5 million. The narrative shifted hard and fast, like a ship changing course. Mistress accidentally proves theft and conspiracy with TikTok video. Social media narcissism leads to murder charges. How being unable to stop posting destroyed a murderer's defense. Ray called Rebecca immediately. Sienna just gave us the final nail in their coffins. That mirror and jewelry box prove she was in your house before or during the fire. That she participated in the arson. That she stole your property as trophies. We have conspiracy, theft, burglary, arson, attempted murder, everything. 2 days later, police arrested both Grant and Sienna. Rebecca watched it on the news from her apartment, Phoenix on her lap, 3 weeks old now, starting to focus on faces, making more eye contact. Grant in handcuffs, expensive suit, lawyers surrounding him like a protective barrier, getting into a police car, his face blank, emotionless, like this was a minor inconvenience, a problem to be solved with money and connections. Sienna crying, mascara running in dark streaks, screaming about her rights and her followers and how this was going to ruin her brand. I have 300,000 followers now. I have sponsorships. This is destroying my influencer career. You're ruining my life. The charges were read on the news. Attempted murder, first-degree arson, insurance fraud, conspiracy to commit murder, theft, burglary, violation of protective order, exploitation and harassment. Grant's bail, $2 million. His mother Marlene paid it within an hour with a single check. Sienna's bail, $500,000. Her parents, wealthy suburbanites from Connecticut, couldn't come up with it. She stayed in jail. Both ordered to wear ankle monitors. Both ordered to stay away from Rebecca. Both ordered to surrender their passports. Rebecca should have felt relieved, vindicated, safe. Instead, she felt exhausted, hollowed out, like she'd spent everything she had just getting to this point and didn't know how she'd make it through an actual trial. That afternoon brought an unexpected visitor, a knock on her apartment door. Rebecca looked through the peephole, saw Marlene Morrison standing in the hallway. No lawyer, no driver, no entourage, just her, looking older than Rebecca remembered, tired, diminished somehow. "May I come in?" Marlene asked quietly when Rebecca opened the door. Rebecca almost said no, but something in Marlene's expression stopped her. "Fine, but just for a minute." They sat in Rebecca's small living room, Phoenix asleep in her bassinet nearby. Marlene looked at the baby for a long moment before speaking. "I watched the live stream," Marlene said finally, "of you giving birth. I watched my son's Mistress film your most vulnerable moment for entertainment, and I realized I'd raised a man who would choose a woman capable of that cruelty. Okay, I'm not here to apologize. I'm not here to make excuses." Marlene's voice wavered. "I'm here to tell you that you were right. About everything, about my son, about what he did, about who he is. I know I was right. I watched the videos, all of them. I read the police reports. I saw the evidence. I can't defend him anymore. I won't defend him." "Then don't." "I'm testifying for the prosecution, against my own son." Rebecca stared at her. "You're going to testify against Grant? He tried to murder you and my grandchild. That baby." Marlene gestured to Phoenix, "My granddaughter. He called her a problem that would solve itself. Whatever I thought I knew about Grant, I was wrong. He's dangerous. He needs to be stopped. And if that means I have to be the one to help stop him, then that's what I'll do. Marlene pulled an envelope from her purse with shaking hands, set it on Rebecca's coffee table. That's the deed to the cottage on the Morrison property. The small one in the back. It's mine, not Grant's, not part of the family estate. I inherited it from my mother. It's yours now, for you and Phoenix. Rebecca picked up the envelope with trembling hands. We owe it down, because I want you to know that seeing the truth about your child isn't betrayal. It's the hardest kind of love. I should have seen the truth about Grant years ago. Maybe I could have stopped this, but I didn't, and now I have to live with that. Marlene stood. The cottage needs repairs, but it's habitable. I've had the utilities turned on. Consider it a very late baby shower gift. She left before Rebecca could respond. Rebecca opened the envelope. Deed, free and clear, no mortgage, no strings, no conditions. A house. She had a house. She started crying, big shoulder-shaking sobs. Phoenix woke up and started crying too. Rebecca picked up her daughter, held her close. We have a home, she whispered. A real home, just for us. The trial began on April 15th. Rebecca attended every day, Phoenix with her, now 7 weeks old, more alert, starting to smile. Jill came when she could, and on the day she couldn't, members of St. Michael's Church took turns sitting with Rebecca, holding Phoenix when the baby got fussy. Howard had warned her. It's going to be brutal. They're going to try to destroy your credibility, make you look unstable, paint Sienna as a victim of Grant's manipulation. Be prepared. She was as prepared as she could be. The prosecution's opening statement laid out the case methodically. District Attorney Marcus Anderson, a man in his 50s with a reputation for winning difficult cases, stood before the jury of 7 women and 5 men. Grant Morrison and Sienna Vale conspired to murder Grant's pregnant wife, Rebecca Morrison, for insurance money. They planned it for months. They documented their planning on social media. They set fire to the house with Rebecca locked inside. When she miraculously survived, they continued to torment her. Grant by trying to paint her as mentally unstable, Sienna by live-streaming Rebecca giving birth in an ambulance for social media clout. This is a case of premeditated murder, conspiracy, arson, and cruelty. The evidence is overwhelming. The defense's opening statement painted Grant as a victim of a manipulative mistress. Grant Morrison made mistakes. He had an affair. But Sienna Vale is the mastermind here. She manipulated a vulnerable man, planned the fire, stole Rebecca's property, and documented everything for social media fame. Grant is guilty of adultery and poor judgment, not attempted murder. The trial lasted 9 days. The arson investigator testified. Thomas Bradford, 28 years in the fire service. This was clearly arson with intent to kill. 3 points of origin: accelerant trails, disabled security, locked exits. In nearly 3 decades, I've never seen a clearer case. The hardware store employee testified, Kyle Jenkins. He specifically asked for locks that only open from outside. When I asked what, he said his pregnant wife was sleepwalking. I thought it was weird but not illegal. Now I realize I helped him try to kill her. Mrs. Patterson testified. I saw him leave at 2:28 a.m., come back at 2:45, leave again at 2:53. The fire started around 2:57. He was there when it started. Detective Sullivan testified. The phone records, financial records, internet searches, deleted messages, all of it shows months of planning. This was premeditated murder for financial gain. Then came the videos. The jury watched Grant and Sienna planning the murder, laughing about Rebecca's stupidity, discussing the insurance payout. Grant saying problem solves itself about his unborn child. The courtroom was silent. Several jurors looked ill. Then they played the live stream of Rebecca giving birth, edited to protect Rebecca's privacy but showing clearly how Sienna had filmed and narrated her suffering for entertainment. Oh my God, you guys, she's having the baby right here. This is insane. Make sure you're following for updates. The jury's faces changed as they watched. Disgust, anger, disbelief. Sienna took the stand on day 6, having taken a plea deal the week before. 5 years in exchange for testimony. She testified about everything, the affair, the planning, Grant's hatred for Rebecca, his excitement about the insurance money, how they'd stolen Rebecca's belongings from the house before the fire as trophies. Why did you film Rebecca giving birth? The prosecutor asked. Grant said we needed proof she was unstable for the custody case. And Sienna paused, tears streaming down her face. And I wanted the views. I wanted to go viral. I'm a terrible person. I know that now. The defense tried to discredit her. You're testifying to reduce your sentence. Yes. So you have every reason to lie about Grant. I'm not lying. I have texts, recordings, emails. Everything I'm saying is documented. Marlene Morrison testified on day 7. The courtroom went silent when she was called. Grant's own mother, walking to the stand with her head held high. Mrs. Morrison, you're testifying for the prosecution. Against your son? Yes. Why? Because he tried to murder my daughter-in-law and my granddaughter. Because I enabled his worst impulses his entire life. Because if I stay silent now, I'm complicit. I won't do that anymore. Can you describe Grant's character? My son is cruel, has been since childhood. I excused it, protected him, used our money to make his victims disappear. I taught him that he was above consequences. I created a monster, and now I'm here to take responsibility for that and to make sure he faces consequences for the first time in his life. Grant stared at his mother with pure hatred. Marlene met his eyes without flinching. Rebecca testified on day 8. She walked to the stand, Phoenix with Jill in the front row, and told her story. The fire, the locked doors, waking up choking, jumping through the window, discovering the empty accounts, the homelessness, the shelter, going into labor with no way to get help. Sienna filming her giving birth. How did it feel when Sienna filmed you giving birth? The prosecutor asked. Like I wasn't human, like I was just content, entertainment, something to be exploited for clicks and views. My daughter's birth should have been a private, sacred moment. Instead, millions of people watched it because someone turned my suffering into a viral video. Did you consent to being filmed? No. I told her repeatedly to stop. On the video, you can hear me say, "Stop filming me," at least 5 times. She didn't care. The defense cross-examined her aggressively, tried to paint her as mentally unstable, as vindictive, as lying for attention. Isn't it true you have a history of dramatic behavior? No. Isn't it true you refused medical help when you were in labor? I couldn't afford an ambulance, and Sienna wasn't offering help. She was offering to exploit my vulnerability. Isn't it possible you're exaggerating what happened because you're angry about the affair? My husband tried to burn me alive. I'm not exaggerating anything. After Rebecca finished testifying, Howard leaned over and whispered, "You did perfect. Absolutely perfect." Closing and arguments came on day 9. The prosecution, Grant Morrison and Sienna Vale, are guilty of attempted murder, conspiracy, arson, and unspeakable cruelty. They planned to kill Rebecca and her unborn baby for money. They documented their planning. They executed their plan. When Rebecca miraculously survived, they continued to torment her, even live streaming her giving birth for social media fame. This is evil. Find them guilty on all counts. The defense. Grant Morrison is guilty of adultery and poor judgment, but the prosecution hasn't proven beyond reasonable doubt that he attempted murder. Sienna Vale manipulated him. The circumstantial evidence could be explained other ways. Find him not guilty of attempted murder. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. They returned at 7:30 p.m. Has the jury reached a verdict? We have, Your Honor. On the count of attempted murder in the first degree against Grant Morrison, what say you? We find the defendant guilty. Grant's face went white. Sienna, sitting at the other defense table, started crying. On the count of conspiracy to commit murder against Grant Morrison, what say you? Guilty. On the count of arson in the first degree against Grant Morrison, what say you? Guilty. On the count of insurance fraud against Grant Morrison, what say you? Guilty. Guilty on all counts, every single charge. For Sienna Vale, on the count of conspiracy to commit murder, what say you? Guilty. On the count of harassment and exploitation, what say you? Guilty. On the count of theft and burglary, what say you? Guilty. Both guilty on all counts. Rebecca sat in the front row holding Phoenix, now 8 weeks old, looking around with curious eyes. She felt tears streaming down her face. Not tears of joy, tears of exhaustion, of relief, of grief for everything she'd lost. "We did it," she whispered to Phoenix. "Justice. Actual justice." Sentencing came 2 weeks later. Rebecca attended with Phoenix, now 10 weeks old, starting to grab at things, becoming more interactive. Judge Catherine Caldwell looked at Grant with undisguised disgust. "Mr. Morrison, you tried to murder your pregnant wife for insurance money. You showed no remorse, no empathy, no recognition of the gravity of your actions. You endangered not just your wife's life, but your daughter's life. For money. You then continued to torment your wife even after she survived. I'm sentencing you to 25 years in state prison. No possibility of parole for 15 years. Bailiff, remove him." Grant was led away in handcuffs. He finally looked at Rebecca as they took him. She met his eyes, felt nothing. No anger, no satisfaction, no lingering attachment. Just distance. For Sienna. "Ms. Vale, you conspired to commit murder for money and social media fame. You filmed a woman giving birth without consent and streamed it for entertainment. You showed a level of cruelty and narcissism that is truly disturbing. I'm sentencing you to 12 years in state prison with credit for time served. You'll serve at least 8 years before parole consideration." Sienna sobbed as they led her away. "My career, my followers, this isn't fair." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed again. Rebecca stood on the steps, Phoenix in her arms, and faced the cameras one more time. "Benjamin, do you have a message for other domestic violence survivors?" a reporter asked. Rebecca looked directly at the camera. "Document everything. Trust yourself, fight for yourself, and know that sometimes if you refuse to give up, justice is possible. It's hard, it's brutal, but it's possible." "What about the live stream of your daughter's birth? How do you feel about that?" "It was a violation, but my daughter is here, healthy and strong. That video doesn't define her birth. Our survival defines it. Our strength defines it." "What's next for you?" "I'm going to raise my daughter, build a good life, and help other women who've survived what I survived." Summer came slowly, then all at once. Phoenix grew. 3 months old, 4 months old, 5 months old. Each week bringing new developments, smiling, laughing, grabbing her feet, trying to roll over, babbling in her own language. Rebecca's life found a rhythm. Wake with Phoenix at 6 a.m. Feed, change, play. Tummy time. Reading board books even though Phoenix couldn't understand the words yet. Naps. Walks through the neighborhood. Evening routine. Sleep in 3-hour increments that slowly stretched to 4 hours, then 5. In May, Rebecca moved into the cottage that Marlene had given her. The same cottage that volunteers from St. Michael's had fixed up. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, kitchen, living room. Small but perfect. Safe. Hers. The insurance settlement came through in June. $1.2 million, the house had been titled in Rebecca's name alone, inherited from her grandmother's trust through an estate technicality. Grant hadn't known. He'd assumed everything was jointly owned, that he'd get it all when she died. His final, fatal mistake. Rebecca invested most of the money carefully, worked with a financial advisor Howard recommended, created a trust fund for Phoenix's education, college, grad school, whatever she wanted, set aside emergency funds for security and peace of mind, and with the rest, she started the Phoenix House, a shelter and comprehensive support system specifically for pregnant women fleeing domestic violence, a place where they could be safe, get legal help, get counseling, learn job skills, get medical care, start over with support instead of judgment. Jill became her partner without hesitation. They found a building, an old hotel that had been vacant for years, renovated it with volunteers and contractors. 20 bedrooms, each with privated bathrooms, common kitchen, playroom, medical clinic, office space for counselors and lawyers. Dr. Marsh joined the board of directors. So did Howard. Detective Sullivan joined for security planning. Patricia Rodriguez, the woman from the shelter, volunteered. Even Jennifer Brooks, the paramedic who delivered Phoenix, came to teach prenatal classes. The Phoenix House opened in September. No fanfare, just a quiet gathering of supporters. Rebecca stood there with Phoenix on her hip, 7 months old now, sitting up independently, babbling constantly, trying to eat everything. 11 women in the first month. By December, 43 women and 18 children had come through the program. One of them was Grace Martinez, 22 years old, 7 months pregnant when she arrived. Her boyfriend had beaten her unconscious. She came with nothing but the clothes she was wearing. Rebecca gave her a room, connected her with Howard, sat with her at doctor appointments, showed her she wasn't alone. 3 months later, Grace gave birth to a healthy baby boy. She named him James after her grandfather, she said, but Rebecca suspected it was also because it meant supplanter, one who overcomes. This place saved my life, Grace told Rebecca, holding baby James. You saved my life. You saved your own life, Rebecca said firmly. Phoenix pulled up on the couch beside her, almost ready to walk. You made the choice to leave. That was all you. But I couldn't have done it without you, without this place. After Grace left with James to her new apartment, secured through the program's transitional housing, Rebecca sat in her office at the Phoenix house. Phoenix played on a blanket, 8 months old now, pulling up on furniture, so close to walking. Rebecca's phone buzzed. An email from Grant, inmate number 847392. She almost deleted it unread. But curiosity won. Rebecca, I've spent every day thinking about what I did, who I was. The therapy here is helping me see the patterns, the cruelty I normalized. I don't expect forgiveness. Don't deserve it. But I want you to know I'm trying to become someone different. Someone Phoenix could maybe know someday. Someone who takes responsibility. I'm sorry for everything, for trying to kill you, for trying to kill our daughter. For years of abuse you probably didn't even recognize as abuse. I'm sorry. Rebecca read it once, felt nothing, no anger, no satisfaction, no lingering pain, just distance. She filed it away in a folder labeled Phoenix if she ever asks. Maybe someday her daughter would want to read it. Maybe not. Either way, it didn't affect Rebecca anymore. That evening, Rebecca sat in the cottage garden with Phoenix on her lap. 9 months old now, so close to walking, babbling mama and dada even though there was no dada, saying what sounded like uh-oh when she dropped things. Your name means rising from ashes, Rebecca told her daughter, something she'd told her countless times. That's exactly what we did. We survived a fire. We survived homelessness. We survived your birth being filmed and shared with millions of people. We survived all of it. And now we help other people survive too. Phoenix grabbed Rebecca's finger with her chubby hand, made a sound that definitely was mama, smiled that gummy smile that made everything worthwhile. Rebecca had survived fire, homelessness, giving birth in an ambulance while being live-streamed, public humiliation, a trial, complete destruction of everything she'd known. She'd lost everything and rebuilt from nothing. And now she spent her days helping other women do the same. Not revenge, something better than revenge. Purpose. 1 year after the fire, Rebecca Morrison stood in her cottage kitchen making coffee while Phoenix played with blocks on the floor. 14 months old now, walking everywhere, saying maybe 15 words, getting into absolutely everything with toddler determination. Mama, Phoenix said, holding up a block. Yes, baby, blue block. Boo block. Phoenix threw it across the room, laughed when it clattered. Rebecca's phone rang. Marlene, their monthly check-in. Good morning, Rebecca. Good morning, Marlene. I wanted you to know Grant's second appeal was denied. His sentence stands. 25 years. Good, that's good. He asks about Phoenix in every letter. I send him photos sometimes. Just her face, nothing identifying. I hope that's okay. That's fine. He has a right to know she exists and is healthy, nothing more. After they hung up, Rebecca picked up Phoenix. Your father is in prison. He'll be there until you're 16 years old. By then you can decide if you want to know him. Until then, we're building our life, and it's a good life. That afternoon, the Phoenix House held its 1-year anniversary gala. 200 people attended. The program had helped 93 women and 42 children in its first year. Rebecca gave a speech with Phoenix on her hip, now 14 months old, waving at everyone, loving the attention. A year ago, I gave birth in the back of an ambulance while my husband's mistress live-streamed it to 20,000 people. That's how far I'd fallen. That's how vulnerable I was. But my daughter was born in that moment, and she needed me to keep going. So I did. Not just for her, for me too. Because surviving isn't enough. We all deserve to thrive. Standing ovation. Phoenix waving and clapping along with everyone else, not understanding, but happy. Later, in the quiet of the cottage, Phoenix asleep in her crib, Rebecca sat in the rocking chair and reflected. The woman she'd been 2 years ago seemed like a stranger now. That woman had made herself small, had ignored red flags, had been too afraid of being alone to leave. This woman, the woman she'd become, would never do that again. She'd been through fire, literally and figuratively, and she'd come out stronger, not unscathed. The scars were there, physical scars from jumping through glass, emotional scars from the trauma, the viral video of Phoenix's birth that would exist forever on the internet somewhere. But scars meant survival. Scars meant she'd lived through something that should have killed her. Through the window, stars scattered across the December sky. The same stars that had watched her crawl from a burning house. The same stars that had looked down as she gave birth in an ambulance. The same stars that now watched her thrive. She was a phoenix. She'd risen from ashes. And she'd taught countless other women how to fly. Rebecca didn't just survive. She created the Phoenix House, helping 93 women and 42 children escape abuse in just 1 year. Her story proves that even when evil tries to destroy you, resilience can rebuild everything. If this story moved you, hit that like button. It helps other survivors find hope. Drop a comment telling me which moment hit you hardest. Share this with someone who needs to hear that survival is possible. And subscribe because next week I'm bringing you another true story that will leave you speechless. Remember, you're stronger than you know. Your story isn't over.